Hello, my name is Russ, and I will present you today a snapshot on the European mission on climate neutral cities and give you an insight on first practical steps and what we do here in Austria and other European cities and countries. So, what's the mission all about? The mission is really an aim of solving one of our, of course, greatest challenge. It's the mission on climate neutral and smart cities. It's not just enough to get smart, it means to get climate neutral. And it means to get climate neutral within the next 10 years, or even, let's call it 9 or even 8 years. And what the Commission is aiming for in this program is getting 100 climate neutral cities by 2030 that are, let's say, an inspiration for all other cities to follow, of course, latest by 2050. So where does this all start? Actually, the Horizon Europe program, of course, will provide almost 360 million only for the first 2 years to help deliver the mission. The launch of a mission platform has already started. There's the Net Zero City initiative that will provide technical, regulatory, and financial assistance to different kinds of cities with the aim of creating climate city contracts as a core instrument on how cities work together with citizens, local stakeholders, and industries. So each city will aim for launching a portfolio of research and innovation projects, the mosaic, so to say, but it's also meant that none of the cities will work alone on that. So a wide and broad network of national, local, and regional authorities will also support the cities in these transitions, and that also help, for instance, in replicating and scaling and transferring the different solutions into other cities. So to understand the logic behind of the mission is really, okay, what we actually have seen. So a mission-oriented innovation policy. But it's not just flying to the moon, as our president of the Commission has called this European man and the moon moment, maybe, that we launched the mission. I think, yes, from the inspirational perspective, that's true, but it's more a societal mission than a pure technology mission to support the cities in this endeavor, so to say, to reach climate neutrality already in 2030, or at least for certain parts of your cities. So why did the Commission start the mission approach? Because we see classical innovation policies nationally and on European level mainly being sector-oriented and with a lot of distance between actors and activities. So policymakers setting up the scene, giving possibilities for funding projects, but the real work problems are looking somehow a little bit different than from the sky above. So what a mission-oriented policy and the understanding of the mission is doing or aiming for is a different kind of approach, creating what we call directionality in this mission-oriented action. So it's being clear of your common goals between the different stakeholders, as described beforehand, giving perspectives and also delivering a mission design, what we actually see as a climate city contract. The coordination across sectors is important. So for me, as a transport guy, you can't solve mobility problems with just bringing good transport solutions to people. I think it's on the way we do housing and we finance housing, and it's about how we use public space, but it's about how we coordinate with other sectors like leisure or tourism and even our workplaces. So on the way to solve your mission, you will see many solutions, but you have to accept the failures and learn from that. And the most important thing, you can't go alone. No one, no, not one city can go alone, not one actor can go alone of doing that. So it's bringing the right actors and stakeholders together in delivering the mission target. What we have delivered so far, and for me, so when I speak on that as a part of the mission board of the Commission and helping the Commission on developing the program, it's what we've developed quite early is we've seen certain barriers for cities or in general to come forward with climate neutral concepts and in making, let's say, most out of innovation programs and initiatives. So first of all is we have to build innovation hubs out of the city's capacities or in the city's capacities, that they are able to manage transformation. What it means also that we need a different kind of governance on how we approach those different kind of transformational aspects that strive our energy or mobility systems of the future. So it will be or should be citizens driven. It should be open for co-creation. And it should build not on, let's say, a compromise of all, but maybe a thin consensus of the first partners that are really starting a new initiative. It should build upon a new economic model that we need for climate action. So not just the classical value chains, but also value networks. And of course, integrating or having a clear perspective on circular economy or donut economy approaches. We need, and this is a crucial point, an integrated perspective on urban planning and operations. So it's not enough to have your spatial planning and your energy planning and your mobility planning, but then you have to bring those things in operations and they have to stay connected. And what we need there, smart technologies, data platforms, and urban system modeling. So, but also there, you need open standards, you need tool sets, you need an open source environment and ecosystem in making use of those platforms and being, let's say, also inspirational to many, many followers when you are leading city. To have these common goals and clear goals, you need to deliver and address measurable impact. And what the city mission will do, it's really kind of scope 1 and scope 2 emissions that we are trying to avoid and reduce in the future. So what's in boundary, transportation and industrial process, and of course also including your grid supplied energy for your districts or part of the cities where you start. I think this is one clear ambition on that. Of course, to get climate neutral in the next 10 years, even if it's less, I think it's huge investments needed. There's an estimation of the European Investment Bank that we have, let's say, that have been put forward that we need about 10,000 euros additionally per citizen in the next 10 years or 9 years to really deliver climate neutral transportation, climate neutral electricity generation, and so on. But of course, even when we address here for investments estimate for 100 European cities where we see 100,000 citizens population, then it's 96 billion euros to doing that. But there's a clear net positive economic case in the end when we also see all the co-benefits coming with the needed upfront investments that are needed for delivering the mission. What we do now, or what the Commission is also working on actually, or worked on, is delivering an implementation plan. So an overview on the next 10 years, what we have to deliver. It includes also, of course, city, business, household investments. With this clear perspective, we see public investments in the cities is only 10 to 20% of the whole investments needed or able to deliver. And the implementation plan also needs a height. It means the anticipated changes in policy and regulations. So how we create a different kind of playbook and frameworks for making all these new technologies fly. So we are actually in the phase of, let's say, or certain cities for preparing for the next step. So there's a comprehensive toolkit now out for cities from the Commission that was delivered end of October. And now we're waiting for the publication of a call for an expression of interest for at least 100 cities. It will start mid of November, so actually now, and it will be open till mid of January. Then the Commission will select the participating cities, and by mid-2022, those selected cities will start to work together with the Mission platform and, of course, many national and European players on really developing these climate city contracts by maybe mid-2023. The money is one thing, the know-how is the other thing, but of course we have to combine these to really build a different kind of future in for the climate neutral cities. Again, we start with data, and we create context-sensitive solutions. We do monitoring, and we do steering, and we do risk management for these future options. In the end, we have to create outstanding inclusive offers to our people. These need new kind of frameworks. So we have to facilitate this implementation and executions on different kind of administrative levels, on city level and national levels, and of course, back on European levels. But still always keep the feet on the ground and incorporating people needs and clear concrete demands. And with that, towards the city mission, create a new culture and openness for collaboration across sectors and silos. And this is actually also where the new market perspectives and examples pop up, and where we see the mission is not just waiting for a market, it's creating hopefully new markets. And for transport, this means not just managing parking and access, but ensure that every street and place is healthy, sustainable, and full of life, as our colleagues from Viable Cities and Vinnova in Sweden is calling them. So for mobility, it really means it's all in that we need. So we have to go from infrastructure to services, from ownership to usage, from one size fits all, like public transport, and good offers, to flexibility of on-demand solutions. So we have to create master plans, but also working local solutions. And we have to integrate timetables and on-demand solutions. And we have to come from pavements to livable spaces and environments. And it's also from powertrains to power to the peoples. And in the end, it's not just systems, it's people's experience that we have to address with all these mobility solutions. So there are good examples out there, and I will not start with the Austrian things that we are doing, but I start with a Finnish example from Lahti, a green electric mobility cluster that's there. And you know, Lahti is the actual green capital of Europe in 2021. So really combining local or carbon neutral city transport or a climate neutral cities with your local and also national perspectives on how different kind of providers of vehicle technologies come into the equation. What kind of infrastructure is needed for electrified transport, and how this links to a carbon neutral energy system that's needed for decarbonizing the transport transformation also. And I think there's just one example of many that we already see out there. It's the building of a local or national ecosystems. Another good example We can take from Drive Sweden and the mobility sector. They started with connected and automated driving, and this is really a large cross-sector collaboration ecosystem combining business, society, civil society, and academia. And the interesting thing now, what happened that the Viable Cities Network that is driving, let's say, the climate neutral cities initiative in Sweden forward, they have really joined forces together with Drive Sweden to bring the mobility solutions of the future into the cities and vice versa. And last but not least, one example that what we do, for instance, in Austria with the 9 cities that are actually preparing, or we support to prepare for the city mission, we define almost 100 problems that they are facing when getting climate neutral. But there are 1,000 tools, as we call it, out there. And what we actually have worked on is a kind of a common tool set to address the potential solutions that the cities have to combine, or city stakeholders can combine, in addressing the different kind of problems and making things transferable and making things comparable that we address. So the essence out of it, we call it the building blocks that we actually see for delivering the magic green mobility. It's, of course, a concept of the 50-minute cities, the urban vehicle access schemes, and how we manage public space and do curb as a service, so to say, to create mobility hubs, effective and low carb and CO2 neutral fleet operations with the needed charging infrastructure and with the potential to do cross-sector collaboration in our cities in the future. Thank you very much.